Chester County and Montgomery County residents. Here we have today a great organization that is helping to change our lives. And to tell us all about it, we have Director of Programs of Open Hearth Inc., Kathleen Mellis Patterson. Kathleen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel really privileged to have the opportunity to highlight Open Hearth.
You guys have been doing some amazing work.
Thank you.
One of the things that is so important is financial education, which should have been part of elementary and middle school, I would say.
Absolutely. I know I would have benefited from it.
Well, we all would have benefited from it. However, you have been providing so much help. So let us jump right in. Tell us who is Kathleen?
Great. Well, geez, that's a loaded question, but I'm proud to represent Open Hearth as the Director of Programs. I actually became aware of Open Hearth as a mental health case manager in the community, and I often referred my clients to the programs available because I was working with a lot of individuals who are experiencing homelessness and really would benefit from the financial literacy skills that Open Hearth offered. And so I became really involved with Open Hearth in that capacity, so much so I then joined the staff as a program coordinator and was able to facilitate those housing stability services and coordination services, as well as financial literacy services. And over the years, I've risen in the ranks to now oversee all of our housing, transportation, and financial management programs, as well as our community building efforts.
Great. Hey, we have a guest joining us. Donald Nimitz.
Yes.
Yeah, he's on the show. So
I just saw Don 2 days ago.
Yeah, he's saying good morning.
Morning, Don. Good to see you.
Hey, Don, thank you very much for joining. So, Kathleen, tell us about how you have been helping members of the community, and tell us more about Open Hearth.
Sure. So Open Hearth, believe it or not, it started as a local grassroots organization committee really back in 1989. And the focus was to help ensure equal housing opportunities for really vulnerable community members who are really marginalized. So that were individuals who were experiencing homelessness, mental health disorders, substance use disorders, really recognizing that those individuals were really, they struggled with housing, stability. And over the years, we became a 501c3 organization in 1991, actual April of 1991. So we just celebrated 32 years as an organization in the community this past month. But really over the years, we've expanded our services really based on identifying the needs that we saw in the community. So housing, of course, is something that we've really had a lot of, developed a lot of innovative programs to address, but that really expanded to also ensuring equal access to transportation, financial literacy, asset development, really critical things to help ensure people are having their basic needs met so they can really work up to, becoming their best empowered selves.
And you provide help, education, resources, so that they can go then and do it on their own without any help.
That's absolutely right. And I love that you mentioned that financial literacy, that's something that we really should have all been, provided in school and as we were growing. And for most of us, we learned by trial and error, but the foundation of our programming is to provide those skills to really help identify what's your income? What are your expenses? How can we really help create the financial house that would be, most beneficial for you? And through that, we developed financial navigation services. We are located primarily at the United Way Financial Stability Center, which is co-located with the PA Career Lake in Engston. And our financial navigator's role is really to meet individuals where they're at, identify oftentimes what the root cause of their hardship is. This is not a Band-Aid effect. We really want to see what's the infection and let's solve the infection. And we meet individuals from such diverse backgrounds, individuals who are on disability benefits to six figures. And we really are focusing on helping individuals increase their income, decrease their debt, and most importantly, build assets.
Absolutely. There is no barrier to people participating in these programs. As you mentioned, there are no income limitations. Anybody can and should be able to use financial literacy to further their life.
Absolutely. And our financial navigation services is free and open to all. And it really is financial coaching. We can meet with individuals one time and really just taking a real clear look at what their finances are and how we can really help reduce some of the expenses that they have. But more often than not, we're working with clients over years because these are really big goals. Decreasing debt. I mean, that's not going to happen overnight. And of course, building wealth and building assets, that takes time.
Has anybody from the US government reached out to you on how they can decrease their debt?
I wish they would. But that's a conversation for another day.
You know, how we as individuals and families are responsible for our own financial health. Mm-hmm. And we have to manage things within our resources.
Absolutely. And I really love our family savings partner program. I'm really proud to share it's the only Chester County-wide asset development program. And it's a match savings program, essentially. So we help households who are under 400% of the federal poverty level. So that encompasses a large population in this area to systematically save for an asset, whether that be car, higher education, or a first-time home. Mm-hmm. And our role is to help them open an individual development account, an IDA account, and to help them plan a savings plan so they can systematically save to reach a goal. So for car and education, if they save $1,000, once they reach that $1,000 savings and they participate in 8 hours of financial education classes, we then are proud and excited to match them with $3,000. So they can walk away with $4,000 total to put towards a tuition bill or to purchase or finance their vehicle. And in addition, the savings goal for home education is $2,000, but then we match with $4,000 and $6,000 to put towards a down payment for a first home. And it is for first homes. And oftentimes it's the first home in that family system. And that's the way to really start creating generational wealth. And it's so exciting when that happens.
Absolutely. I have had Don on my show a couple of times you guys all work together and help the residents of the Chester County, and you also help Montgomery County residents. So people definitely need guidance, and I'm so glad you are providing that.
Thank you. And I think it's a really, talking about money can be really scary. There can be stigmas attached to it. And I'm so happy to be, the lead of a group of individuals on staff that are, not only competent, but compassionate. And they're really just there to coach without any judgment. And I think that's really what makes us successful. We have a great staff that, can offer that ear and provide guidance without any judgment.
Right. Now, how are you doing? Uh, where are your resources coming from? How are you funded?
Well, that's a great question. We do receive a lot of federal monies. We have a large contract, a large housing program. We administer a HUD-funded program called the Continuum of Care Permanent Supportive Housing Program. That is a very large federal grant that's funneled through the Department of Community Development. And I love this program. It's designed to provide permanent housing subsidies for individuals who are experiencing homelessness, often chronic homelessness, and have a documented disability. And this program operates off of a housing first model. So this is often the last resort for individuals who wouldn't be considered in the general housing market due to income, due to perhaps poor tenant history, criminal background. The goal is to get somebody into housing so that they can focus on some of those other variables that made housing really difficult for them in the past. So we have a lot of federal money, and we also, grants, foundations, donors. It's important to diversify.
Now, now about the housing,
Mhm.
they have to be qualified, and it's a referral-based program. That's what I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, so we operate in tandem with the coordinated entry system in Chester County. There is a single point of entry for folks who are experiencing housing insecurity. They contact 211 and they're dispatched to meet with a street outreach team to verify their housing status. And then from there, they're funneled into case conferencing, which we actually facilitate for the community. And that's where cross-system providers come together bi-weekly to really work individual cases as a collective, so we can really holistically serve the most vulnerable members in our community as a team. It's a system issue.
And Chester County is one of the most prosperous and educated and healthy counties. However, with all that comes the cost. Is
Mm.
one of the most expensive places to
Yeah.
live. So
Yeah.
cost of home buying is also pretty high.
And rent. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult, and that's why it's really important to kind of focus focus on this issue as a macro issue, and
Mhm.
to really dismantle some stigma and stereotypes of
Right.
the individuals we serve, and to really foster really good relationships with landlords, with businesses, with other community providers, because it really does take a collaborative effort.
Yeah, it takes a village, and all different constituents, different organizations. We all need to come together and help people get into homes, because that is the first and most basic need.
Absolutely. That Maslow hierarchy of needs. You need to have food, shelter. You can't focus on other issues such as
Right.
mental health or
Yeah.
substance abuse
Yeah.
if you're on the streets not knowing where you're going to sleep and
Right.
when you're going to eat next.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So people who are in need of help
Mhm.
can reach out, uh, contact. They can go to your website, which is on the screen, and
Yes.
also there is a phone number they can call.
Yes.
So openheartinc.org, and phone number is 610-792-9282, correct?
That is correct. And we're also really trying to be, up with the young folks on social media. So we can be found on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. And we're really trying our best to kind of get our stories out there.
Well, social media is not only for young anymore.
This is true. True. Thank you. You're right. We're all doing our best.
It all started with teenagers. Remember those Facebook times? And
Yes.
now you see so many grandparents like
I
me.
know. I know.
We are all on social media.
I know. I know. It's a wild time.
It is one of the best way to connect with people, and for people to find out about you, find out about Open Hearth. So I know you are on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
Right,
You can find us there.
right. Now, as far as people reaching out to you, we have provided the contact information.
Mhm.
Now, how about people who want to be able to help you with your mission?
Mm.
Whether so, what kind of help are you looking for?
That's a great question. I think we actually run a twice a year financial education workshop series that's held in the spring and fall. There are 8 week series, free and open to anyone to join, on various topics regarding financial education. And they're all facilitated by volunteers, subject matter experts in their field that can
Mhm.
really touch on these various topics with real authority. So that's a great way for volunteerism to be
Mhm.
active in our organization. And we did just relocate our main headquarters from Spring City to Phoenixville. That was a big move for us.
Right.
And we're really, doing the final touches, and we've really appreciated the help of volunteers, really, doing those punch list items to make
Mhm.
things perfect. But truthfully, I will say, I think we need to take a real closer look about how we can better utilize volunteers, because we so often have individuals so generous, wanting to give back and participate. And I think we really need to be more strategic about it, to be quite
Right.
honest.
Right. Now, as far as your funding, you mentioned you get some grant, some aid from the different government programs, and then volunteers are helping run and manage some of the programs.
Mm-hmm.
How else, what other kind of help do you need? I mean, this is a good way to let people know that
Mm.
they can pitch in, they can send in donations, they can be volunteer, and what else?
I think really just becoming more aware of what's going on locally in your community. As you mentioned, Chester County is so fortunate. It is
Yeah.
the wealthiest, it's the healthiest, but there's still a lot of need in the community, and it's often hiding in plain sight. So really getting more informed with your local politics, the policies going on, and donating your time to other organizations. There's not a lack of need in terms of just more community awareness. I think is the biggest thing.
Right,
Yeah,
absolutely. And as you said, you know, even though Chester County is one of the wealthiest and the healthiest, there still is a segment of people who are having to struggle
yeah,
finding a housing,
yeah.
trying to put food on the table. And Chester County Food Bank and some amazing organizations are trying to bridge that gap. And then your role is to bridge the financial gap,
Absolutely.
financial literacy gap.
Yeah,
So
teaching the skills. And I will just kind of piggyback to your previous question. If you're a landlord in the community right now, we are facing, not only in Chester County, but nationwide, an affordable housing crisis.
absolutely.
And so if you're fortunate enough to be a landlord or a property owner, really, I would encourage you to really take, um, you know, give people second chances. Give people that you typically say, they're not for me. Really, open your heart and recognize we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
And everybody deserves a home. And really, it's actually more cost effective across
Yeah.
the board to have people housed. So,
Yeah.
considering working with subsidy programs, whether our own or the Housing Choice Voucher Program through the Housing Authority or rapid rehousing, there's a lot of benefits to working with those subsidy programs, especially with our own. It's tied to supportive services. So, having a single point of contact on our staff that if any issues do arise, that you can contact us directly and we can help mediate those issues,
Right.
ensure that, anything that could kind of potentially jeopardize housing stability, that we could, interfere and mitigate that. So I really would just encourage landlords, property owners to take a second chance, take a look at folks that you may typically not consider for housing.
Such an important point, because I have been real estate investor for 15 plus years, and also a realtor, working with home buyers, working with real estate investors. And we see so many cases of people who are just starting to get their own rental, or trying to buy their own home, and sometimes they just feel discouraged because of their prior rental or credit mistakes.
I will share just a very brief anecdote. I worked with an individual who really struggled with mental health, substance abuse, and other factors of no fault of his own, just circumstances, truly. And he wasn't. It wasn't until his mid-50s, after suffering from chronic homelessness, that he finally was given his first set of keys to an apartment. And we just connected. He's been in that apartment for 8 years. He's doing well. He's healthy. And that really is just a testament to us needing to take a look at, housing first versus housing ready. Someone's in housing, they can focus on all those other things, that resulted in them, struggling. But I think that was beautiful. I connected with him yesterday and I still feel warm and fuzzy thinking about it.
Yeah, home security, financial security, and these are very, very critical. And as you mentioned, when you have those insecurities, it manifests many times in certain mental manifestations.
Oh yeah, you're in fight or flight mode. It's you're in crisis. It's a scary thing.
Yeah, and many times we hear about some of the law enforcement are trying to work with them, and some law enforcement are more equipped than others, more trained than others in dealing with this situation. Sure. And we are so fortunate that in Chester County and surrounding areas, we don't hear about any horror stories that we hear in other parts of the country.
Sure. I think, trauma-informed care is for everybody, no matter what. And I think that really, reduces a lot of the tragedies that we hear about.
And there used to be talking about mental health was considered a taboo.
Yeah.
And I think more and more people are realizing, as are more healthcare professionals and law enforcement. So they are trained to recognize these symptoms and handle those situations with a kid glove.
Yeah. Yeah. Mental health does not discriminate. Right. And it is often a symptom of the environment, right? So it's important to really focus on, at the beginning stages of life, stable housing, good nutrition, really good education. All of those things will help, reduce some of the troubles that we're seeing.
Yeah, and I have heard about some billionaires also suffering from mental issues. So it is not something that doesn't discriminate. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Kathleen, it was such a great opportunity for us to have you on the show.
Likewise.
And inform and educate our community of all the great things that you do. Let us just summarize all this and tell us how best they can get help.
Absolutely. Again, thank you for having me on today. Contact Open Hearth if you really just want to sit down and figure out your finances with, a non-judgmental, compassionate person who's truly here to coach you. Contact our office, visit our website. We have a whole financial navigation team of financial navigators that can help sit down, understand, what your goals are, whether it's increasing income, decreasing debt, building assets. And, we're here to help provide those skills, those resources, that advocacy. We still are we're in the midst of our spring financial workshop series that again is open and free to all. It's virtual currently. You can find our schedule of workshops on our website. So I would encourage anyone and everyone to come. I know I've benefited from going to these. I've had a lot of aha moments.
Right.
But yeah, just contact us. We're always welcome and here to kind of just hear you out, talk it out, and get you connected, whether it's with us or one of our great community partners, such as Dawn. Thanks for seeing us, Dawn.
Yeah. And you have been working with so many organizations at different stages of their walk. So
it's important. We can't all do it all, right? We're all subject matter experts in our own niches.
Yes.
It's important to collaborate and not duplicate service and really just celebrate what we do well and focus on, ending these really big issues as a collective system.
Right. And I look forward to having you again in future. We want to continue this dialogue and keep helping our community. This show, Spotlight Show, was designed with helping the community learn about what is going on, whether it is a small businesses, community organizations, local government officials. And we bring this show every Saturday at 10 o'clock live. So join us next week and we'll see you again. Thank you, Kathleen, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. Please stay on the line just a moment.